Well, normally there would be a speech by a nominator for the office for the candidate for president, and I always thought that was kind of unusual because there's no contest at this point. You know, I like to do things a little differently, so I'm going to pretend that I'm nominating myself, and then I'm going to accept for myself. So just sit back and relax for a few minutes. You'll have a role. So back in 1995, when I did this for the first time, I was the first president to have my wife give the speech and nominate me. And I was very proud of that. And Ellie did a terrific job. And I very much appreciate the message that she sent and that Barry delivered today. You know, I was the first to have my wife nominate me for president. Why not be the first to nominate myself for president? About a month ago, when it dawned on me that I would have a speech to make here, I thought, oh, wow. You know, but I should have remembered it because, of course, I did this before. This was going to be the national convention, and I was going to become the CLLA president again. Become the CLLA president again. That's a crazy thought, right? Most of you were thinking, who the hell wants to become president of the Commercial Law League, let alone again? But you've heard many times over this weekend of the reasons, and we're thrilled that Fred is here with us and that Fred is looking good. So, who would ever want to be president of the Commercial Law League twice, especially now? Yeah, especially now. So in 1983, when I made my first run for office in the Commercial Law League, it was for the Executive Council of the Young Members section. And I walked around the summer convention at the Broadmoor. Summer convention, some of you will remember summer convention. At the Broadmoor, pushing in a stroller my 6-week-old daughter, Katie. And the truth is that Katie probably won the election, but you know, we do what we have to do, right? From there, I worked my way through the chairs and became chair of the Young Members section, I think in 1989, when I was about 34. It used to be that you generally waited until you were aging out to become elected to the offices so that you could hang on as long as possible in the Young Members section and have that green ribbon and think, you know, I'm still young and vital. I wouldn't wait. Then I went on to recording secretary, followed by attorney board member. I had such a great time during those years. During the late 70s at league meetings, Ellie and I made our best friends in the world, and I know that some of you can identify with that. Harry and Kate Greenfield of Cleveland, and Buddy and Marcia Potler of Baltimore, Jeff and Rita Krasnow of Roanoke, Bill and Kay Sturm of Milwaukee. We're still close, and we see them regularly, alas, not at many league meetings. I made a huge fee in a case a couple of years ago, over $1.5 million, because I met Harry Greenfield. And I didn't give Harry any of it. But, and he reminds me of that. Now, I met Harry at the summer convention in 1976, and we became friends, and later he introduced me to a fellow named Joe Hutchinson from Cleveland at another conference. And Joe and I connected every once in a while, and Harry would, you know, remind us, and we'd go out for dinner or for drinks or something like that. And about 10 years later, Joe referred an involuntary bankruptcy case to me that turned into 7 years of regularly paid litigation against 200 partners of a failed law firm, after which we collected $12 million for the estate and paid the unsecured creditors 54 cents on the dollar. So it was a great case. Those of you who do bankruptcy work, you know when you're getting quarterly fees in a Chapter 7 case, it's a great case. It came from Harry Greenfield. It came from a Commercial Law League meeting. Those were great years with great leaders in the league. People who I could look up to, people who I did look up to. People like Eugene Berman of Springfield, Massachusetts, Frank Koger of Kansas City, Joe Bronstein of Boston, Charlie Bernstein of South Carolina, Fred Looper of Columbus, Elliot Levin of Indianapolis, Morris Macy of Atlanta, the greats in the league. And I know I'm missing a few. These guys were leaders. This was an organization they were proud to lead. They made me want to be president. You know, they were leaders. They were people of stature. And I loved the atmosphere. I loved the camaraderie. I loved the networking. I loved the friends. This was home. Ellie and I spent so much time here. We literally raised our children here. I mean, many of you know that Katie and Alex came to their first conventions when they were 6 weeks old. We timed that perfectly so they'd be old enough to travel, you know. And they would walk around the cocktail parties, and they would come to the meetings, and we have no doubt that they are the well-spoken, confident, successful, personable adults that they are today because of their time among friends and family and new people in the commercial law league. So I love the atmosphere. I love the politics, the political process, the governance process. I love the board meetings. I admit it. I love the board meetings. Most others thought they were tedious and boring and stilted and full of sound and fury and signifying nothing. But I guess there was something loose up here and it made me enjoy them. So when I became president in 1995, I gave my first major speech in New York in November. It was a rallying cry for the expansion of business opportunities for all members. Sounds familiar, huh? I learned from Fred Looper in his Expand the Pie Committee. And I always felt, and I still feel, that there are kinds of business, even collection business, that collection agencies won't get, and kinds they don't get, even if they could get it. And I wanted the league to help members get more business, even if it meant looking at sources that might traditionally be viewed as agency territory. When I ended that speech, you know, in this great big room of hundreds and hundreds of people, I got a standing ovation. Everybody in the room, except Stanley Tulchin. Stanley Tulchin sat there and just glowered at me. You see, Stanley and a couple of other agency members were of the view, and one actually said to me, and I'll clean this up a little bit, anyone who is owed money by anyone else is my potential client. Keep your hands off. And that set the tone in those days for what fortunately was a minority of the agency view. That was my first major speech. So here we are 20 years later and I'm back again. And you know why? So, you know, we needed somebody with the requisite experience, 3 years on the board. Jeff and Barry kind of cornered me and asked me if I would do it. And I quickly agreed. People tried to talk me out of it. You know, the league is struggling. What do you need this for? Are you crazy? But I said yes, and I can tell you that Barry has led us admirably and wisely during this year, and it's been a privilege to serve with him and get to know him in that regard. But you're entitled to know a little more about what to expect in the coming year. Peter Califano, your bright, energetic, forward-thinking president-elect, and I have worked closely over the last several weeks on a joint agenda that can be pursued over the next 2 years. The agenda has a principal purpose of advancing the league's strategic plan. The league has a plan, and it paid dearly for that plan. Some disagree with the plan, and some would have us abandon it. I'm a strong believer in two things about organizations. First, organizations get what their members want. Regardless of what the leaders want, the members get what they want or they vote with their feet. Second, organizations must have and follow plans, strategic or otherwise. I mean, you may have heard the saying, those who fail to plan, plan to fail. If you don't know where you're going, any road will lead you there. We need to plan. I see our current plan as emphasizing the strengths of a cable. You know, the kind that holds up bridges, with a number of strands all woven together, each strong on its own, but woven together even stronger. Far greater, the whole far stronger than just the sum of its parts. The more strands, the stronger the cable. Each of our sections or major business lines, triadic, bankruptcy, young members, legislative, industry meetings, education, each is a strand, forming the strong CLLA cable. So we're going to follow the plan, adding to our cable, but we're also going to continue the process of planning. The current plan was adopted 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It's time to look at it again. This will be a review and a tweaking. Not necessarily, no, well, not certainly the long process that we went through in the most recent plan. I want to do it this year, and I want to find a way to include as many members as possible in the process. And Bo Hayes is going to chair the long-range planning committee that will lead us through that along with Jeff Henderson. I asked Peter what success at the end of his term would look like 2 years from now. And he said 3 things. Number 1, the young member section has a robust and meaningful mentoring program for both the creditors' rights and bankruptcy section members. The best connections are made in a member's early days in the league. These connections, once made, have to be nurtured and allowed to deepen. Number 2, the creditors' rights section has a revitalized legislative agenda and becomes a full partner with the league in its work in Washington. There is real opportunity there, and it should not be driven only by bankruptcy issues. When I was president in 1995, I was honored to testify before Congress on privatization of some government debt collections. There's no reason that this organization should not use its reputation and its know-how to influence creditors' rights legislation and regulation in Washington and in the states. 3, the league has conducted at least one standalone industry-specific meeting by the end of the 2 years. I hope many more. But no one in this league can say that bringing us together with people who are interested in credit functions of the machine tool industry, the auto industry, the farm equipment industry, the construction industry would be a bad thing. We need to pick some targets and we need to get to work. So one more topic. We're all family here, right? I can speak frankly. Everyone who's been coming to a league meeting for more than 15 years, please raise your hand. Okay, I want to talk to you for a minute. The rest of you, close your ears. Do you remember when the league was 4,000 members and we used to get 800 people at a meeting? Well, forget it. It's not happening again. Okay? This is a new reality. This is a new reality. We have the number of members that we have, and we have energetic, interested people who are here and want to talk to other people about business. They don't want to hear the old guys whining about the old days. We're here now. We have what we have now, and it's good. stop dragging down the spirit. Okay, the rest of you can listen now. All right, so to recap, I'm back. We're not treading water this year. We have a great board, great staff, great members, and we're going to get stuff done. Like Mark Twain, the report of our death has been exaggerated. This year, look for the young members section mentoring to be a hot topic, CRS legislative to be a hot topic, to come back and back and alive, and for us to work and plan and execute meetings with other industry groups. This year, plan for committees, sections, and regions to do a lot of the heavy lifting. All of the committee chairs have been appointed, and most of them notified before we got here, and many of them have had meetings here. We didn't want to lose a minute of valuable time. So, let's get to work. This year, expect to hear and see much more about what the CLLA is doing to help us, individual members, build business relationships. This year, we're going to lay some new cable. So, let's get to work. And I now adjourn the 121st annual meeting of the Commercial Law League of America, and look forward to seeing you all here next year in Chicago. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. All right.